If there was one thing she'd learned in the last 6 months of following Roman Vance, is that what he did and where he went didn't always make sense. Well, not yet, anyway. She reached back and grabbed a water bottle out of her pack. She kept at least a 6-pack at all times, along with snacks and power bars. She drank deeply from the bottle and then put it back. She picked up her field glasses again and focused in on the men below. Vance was resting in the shade. He was lying on an old door that had been put up on clay blocks, presumably to make a table. His men were scattered around the area, lounging in whatever shade they could find. They all looked like they had nothing better to do than take an afternoon nap. It wasn't true, of course. They were all on their guard. One false move, and they'd spring up and kill whoever threatened them. She'd almost fallen for their trick once. In the very beginning, when she didn't know any better, she had approached Vance with the intent of shooting him through the heart. At the last moment, a man stepped out of the shadows and went for Vance before she could get a shot off. Vance's men killed the assailant in the blink of an eye. Harlow readjusted her hips again. The ground was hard, and she was tired. The cargo pants she wore were the color of sand, so she would blend in, but she longed for a pair of shorts. Still, she didn't take her eyes off what was happening below. She said a prayer for the unknown assailant who died that night, all those months ago. She felt she owed him some sort of debt. He'd inadvertently saved her life. A sound reached her ears. Engines. She turned her head. Dust kicked up behind 3 large trucks heading into the abandoned village. They had shipping containers on the back of them. The first one drove past and then reversed until it was jammed into the space between the 2 houses. The other 2 trucks parked on the street. Harlow shifted so she could see a bit better and refocused her binoculars. Vance was talking to the driver of the truck, whom she recognized. He was one of the Silverstone guys that Vance often worked with. Hugo something? She couldn't remember his last name, or maybe she'd never heard it. He was of average height and build. His gut was hanging over his belt a bit more than was good for his line of work. Not too many people wanted to hire overweight military contractors. Vance turned and waved to his crew. 5 men emerged from the shade of the hut and started messing with the well. They were smashing the stones with a sledgehammer and then pulling them apart. Then they seemed to be pushing the dirt aside and pulling up boards. Why the hell would they bother with that? Unless they'd put something down there. Harlow cursed under her breath. She needed a better vantage point. Lowering the binoculars, she took another look around the area. There was nowhere else that provided enough cover to keep her hidden. Moving now was a huge risk anyway. She was stuck where she was.